Since what feels like the beginning of time, films have been constantly adapting and evolving with technology and society. From the Cornetto in 1895 to the first film with colour. Throughout the years, the technical and societal aspects of filmmaking have changed and will continue to change, but one thing that will stay the same is signature style. A director's style of filming can often make their film easily identifiable, whether it's Tarantino's aesthetic of violence, Aronofsky's incessant pacing and rapid-fire dread, or David Lynch's surrealistic nightmares. Each of those styles can be easily recognised, but the signature style that stands out the most is Edgar Wright's. So if you aren't familiar with Mr. Wright and his work, then let me explain. Edgar Howard Wright is a writer, director and producer responsible for some of the most popular action comedies in recent years. He got his first big break in 1999 when he co-created the cult comedy Spaced, with stars of the show Simon Pegg and Jessica Hines. The show follows comic book artist Tim and aspiring writer Daisy as they meet by chance and decide to pose as a professional couple to secure a relatively cheap flat in London. The British sitcom only ran for 2 seasons spanning over 3 years, and in that short time gained a small but loyal fan base that still enjoys the show today. You can really start to see early signs of Wright's signature styles develop throughout the show, like the frequent match cuts for example, something Wright would soon be known for. The 3 Flavour Cornetto Trilogy is arguably some of Wright's best work. 3 films that don't really connect other than the fact that they all share the same actors and they each all feature a cornetto. Strawberry, vanilla and mint. The first of the trilogy, and Wright's first successful feature length, is Shaun of the Dead, a parody zombie flick that pays homage to Romero's classics, but also works as a good zombie flick in its own right. The film centres around Shaun, a salesman with no ambition, as his uneventful life takes a sudden turn when he has to single-handedly deal with an entire community of zombies. The film stars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, 2 actors that make frequent returns in Wright's films, the former continuing to co-write this and future projects. Interestingly, the idea for the film came from a Spaced episode and evolved from that. The film was a big deal for Wright, as it showed the world his capability and set the foundation for his future projects. The second instalment in the Cornetto trilogy is Hot Fuzz. The film follows Inspector Nicholas Angel, a hotshot city police officer who was forced to leave his action-packed job as sergeant to move to the small and quiet town of Sandford, Gloucestershire. He meets his partner, PC Danny Butterman, as horrific accidents start happening around the village. Hot Fuzz was Wright's second highest grossing movie, and despite strong competition, many believe it to be his best so far. Again, this film manages to perfectly parody the action buddy cop genre, referencing and recreating scenes from films like Bad Boys 2 and Point Break. The third and final instalment in the Cornetto trilogy is The World's End. This film is slightly different than the other 2, as it feels more like an original take on an apocalypse movie rather than a loose parody of something. This film is about an old group of friends that return to their hometown in order to complete a pub crawl they never finished, but end up being humanity's only hope at salvation. The cast in this film is great as usual, with Martin Freeman, Rosamund Pike and Paddy Considine joining Simon and Nick. Altogether, these three completely separate films make up the Cornetto Trilogy. Now you're probably wondering how and why exactly these films connect, so I'll quickly explain. The main reason is the name. In each film, a different flavour Cornetto is either shown or mentioned.
Do you want anything from the shop?
Cornetto.
Apparently the idea came from a joke whilst filming Hot Fuzz. Wright had written in the use of a Cornetto ice cream as a hangover cure for Frost's character in Shaun of the Dead, based on his own experiences. Another thing that ties the films together is the reoccurring fence gag, which I could explain, but it's probably better if I just show you.
Fences. What's the matter, David? I'm taking a shortcut before.
We are Sex Bob, and we're here to make you think about death and get sad and stuff!
For Wright's other two films, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Baby Driver, he focuses more on the action genre. Although both films have a lot of comedic aspects and a lot of funny scenes, its main focus is the action. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a one-of-a-kind movie. Originally a Brian Lee O'Malley graphic novel, Wright decided that in 2008 he wanted to make this beloved graphic series into a film. As bass guitarist for a garage rock band, Scott Pilgrim has never had trouble getting a girlfriend. Usually the problem is getting rid of them. But when Ramona Flowers skates into his heart, he finds she is the most troublesome baggage of all. An army of ex-boyfriends who will stop at nothing to eliminate him from her list of suitors. The casting for this film is incredible. Michael Cera was born to play Scott Pilgrim, and the supporting cast is golden too. The film also stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Anna Kendrick, Jason Schwartzman and Aubrey Plaza. Oh, and two future MCU stars. Wright also stayed as close to the source material as possible, bringing in O'Malley himself to help with creative visions. The editing and style stays true to the graphic novel also, with amazing set pieces and entertaining fight scenes. This film feels like a comic book. I also feel like I should mention the soundtrack. It's incredible. Wright asked artist Beck to write the music for Scott's band Sex Bob. I don't think I could properly articulate how well this film works. The crash zooms, the match cuts, the way the music matches up perfectly with the scenes. I seriously cannot praise it enough. Speaking of music matching perfectly with the scene, Wright's most recently released film, Baby Driver, is his most acclaimed film yet. With its star-studded cast and intense action scenes, Baby Driver did pretty well at the box office. The film follows Baby, a music-loving orphan who also happens to be the prodigiously talented go-to getaway driver for heist mastermind Doc. Something that goes well together is music matching the visuals, and Wright knows that. Every scene is just so exciting and intense. With the great soundtrack on top of that, it's a great cinematic experience. Wright had apparently been waiting to make this film for almost 20 years. A passion project, let's say. So when it did as well as it did, I'm sure Wright was overjoyed at the positive feedback. The film stars Ansel Elgort, Lily James, Jamie Foxx and Kevin Spacey, among others, who all make convincingly scary criminals, by the way. There isn't really much else to say about this film. It's Edgar Wright, so of course it's going to be good. So that's it. That is Edgar Wright's filmography. Not a particularly lengthy one, but for him, it's more about quality rather than quantity. With his new psychological horror coming soon, it will be interesting to see a new style from Wright, as he takes on a new genre altogether. It's set to release later this year, with Matt Smith starring in the film. That's all I have to say for now. So in conclusion, if you haven't seen any of these films, first of all, why did you even sit through this entire thing? And secondly, go watch them. You'll have a great time.